Good morning, beautiful, gorgeous people. How are you all today? I hope you're well. My goodness, it's a bit chilly here today, but it's dry. Yay! The sun's coming out. Yay! We've had 2 dry days back to back, so today is the second of those 2 days, and I'm hoping that means that all the bits and bobs of jobs I want to do today will be a little bit more pleasant and less damp. Having said that though, goodness me, there's a heavy, heavy dew on the grass, so I shall be putting my wellies on. Right then, what's on the agenda today? Well, as I was kind of hinting at in my November tour video the other day, I'm basically at the beginning of October with the garden. It's time to get stuck into the big autumn clear up. Now, I say big autumn clear up, there's going to be a lot of taking structures down, tucking the beds up. However, I won't be in too much of a hurry to pull out plants that are over. So for example, in that top little corner under my plot sign where I've got the dill has gone completely over, it's just their little seed heads now, and the verbena and such like. They will all stay, they'll stay all winter because they're providing a bit of habitat for insects, and if they're providing habitat for insects, they're providing a food source for the birds that like to nibble on those insects. Also with the seed heads, there are a lot of birds which will relish a few verbena seeds, for example. So yes, a big clear up, but not too tidy, because like I say, I want to leave a bit of habitat for the insects over winter. And also where I was showing you, say with the nasturtiums, where I've still got plants which are happily growing away, excuse me, even if I'm not harvesting from them, I just leave them be for now because they're working as ground cover. It saves me trying to find loads of mulch to cover the beds with all in one go, because that won't happen. So I've got bare beds, I'll focus on those first, and beds which still have lots of growth in them, even if it's things like all the rocket which went to seed, all those calendula, nasturtiums, etc. They can all just stay for now, and then later on, when there's more leaves to gather, they'll come out, they'll get chopped, they'll become compost, they'll be chopped and dropped. Speaking of leaves, I have been keeping a lookout, but even now, as I just look out of my shed door over the big trees over there, where, you know, all around the whole site, they're all still pretty green. It's quite surprising actually, beginning of November, that, I mean, they've hardly turned colour at all yet. So because of that, checking underneath the trees, there's really not much leaf fall for me to gather yet. Even more reason to leave the beds which are growing still, to leave them alone, not be in a hurry to clear them, because I've got no access to anything to put on top of them. Okay, so structures, etc. today, but also what's in the post bag today, Vivi? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. In the post bag today, it's actually a little bit of catching up. This is about 3 different lots of post. Look, isn't that a beautiful card from Sue? Absolutely gorgeous. I adore lilies. I absolutely adore them. There's a part of me which, you know, well, not with an allotment because it's for food, but there's a part of me I would be quite happy to just have a whole plot full of lilies. Oh, beautiful. Anyway, Sue got in touch with me via the messaging bit of my Facebook page. She'd got a load of seeds she didn't need, wanted to get rid of, asked me if any of them were suitable for me, did I need or want any of them. And to be honest, the things she had, hello Miss Poppy, the things that she had, they weren't really things I needed. So I said, thank you very much, but no, I honestly, I don't need them. Give them to someone else who does need them. But she wasn't really sure where to give them. So what we agreed is she's sent them to me, and it's something I've mentioned occasionally before. In my neighbourhood there is a community garden, but it's not just any community garden, it's specifically for patients with mental health problems. So everybody that gardens there, they're on prescription. That is their prescription. So they go off and see their doctor, they're struggling with whatever mental problem it is. There are many. But rather than the doctor prescribe a chemical solution, such as drugs, they get prescribed a course of gardening. It's amazing, amazing. Actually, you may have seen it mentioned and a few glimpses of it on Gardener's World. I think it was this year it was on Gardener's World. What an amazing place. I would love to volunteer there. I keep a really close eye on their excuse me, the cats are about to start hissing. Yeah, I keep a really close eye on their website to look at both voluntary positions and jobs. There was a mat leave cover job came up recently and I was like, oh, brilliant. But the thing about them is, I would love to work there. They either want people with a horticultural qualification. I have none. You know, on paper, I know nothing about growing vegetables. So I don't qualify because I don't have horticultural qualification. And I did, about a year or so ago, I did look at doing a horticultural qualification via correspondence, a correspondence course. But they're expensive, they're too expensive. So I don't qualify for that. And then the other strand of staff they have are nurses. However, you have to be qualified as a mental health nurse. I qualified as a paediatric nurse. And although we cover mental health as part of our studies, and obviously it's ongoing, it's ongoing learning. For nurses are always learning. We're always having to do yet another essay. I found my mental... That's Rusty. It's because Rosie's sitting in the door when he wants to come in. Oh, boys and girls, honestly. Yeah, I had a really, really challenging placement when I had my mental health placement. I was working with... excuse me one moment. Rusty, that's not very polite to the young ladies, is it? Yes, my placement was at a secure mental health unit, which is basically everyone's under lock and key. Shockingly, the unit I was in was for 10 to 16-year-olds. Absolutely broke my heart to see such young people so broken. But amazing work was being done there to try and put these young people back together again. Anyway, so like I said, this community garden in my local neighbourhood, I would dearly love to either volunteer or even work there, but I don't qualify for either strand, unfortunately. What I do qualify for, though, is to bowl up and give them a ton of seeds for the next year of growing. So I mentioned it with Sue. Thank you, Sue. And she was more than happy for me to pass the seeds there. And just talking of seeds, I have more seeds than I can possibly ever grow. You've all been so generous sending me seeds. And some of the things, honestly, that I don't think they're things I'd ever get round to growing. So I had some just the other day from Helen. Thank you so much. You know, I massively appreciate this, but I'm not going to lie and say, oh yes, I'm looking forward to growing that, because there are some things I'm just not going to do for whatever reason. So for instance, bless you, Helen, she sent me seeds for growing asparagus. I don't have the space, and it's such a long-term prospect. I've got friends on site who they've just had their 4th or 5th year with asparagus, and they're still not getting much of a crop. So for the space asparagus takes up, I mean, I love asparagus, but for the space it takes up for just a couple of bunches of asparagus, I can't justify giving that much space over when, you know, for maybe a couple of meals, when I can fill that with something else that would give me 20, 40 meals. So I hope it's okay with you, Sue, but I will pass, not Sue, sorry, Helen, I'll also pass these on to the mental health community garden. Just in general, I would say thank you all so much for every seed you've ever sent me, but I really now do have enough seeds. I have more than enough. I'm not a seed hoarder. I don't like seed hoarding. It's one of those things I feel like all I need is enough for me. Anything extra should be shared, you know. And I think that's something we should all do, whether it's with seeds or other things in our life, whether it's clothing or bedding. Have what you need, and whatever is excess, give to. Oh, that's Rosie nudging the tripod. Yeah, look at all your excess and give it to someone who actually needs it. We all have way more stuff than we need, and there are people out there all over who have nothing, who don't have what they need. So yes, let's share the excess. So please, no more seeds. Thank you. If you've got an excess of seeds, maybe take them to your annual AGM if that's the sort of thing you have at your plot. If you're in a garden club, take them along, do some swaps. Perhaps there's a community garden in your area, not necessarily a mental health one like the one in my area. Oh, I nearly sat back on Poppy. Oh my goodness, there's cats everywhere this morning. Yes, not necessarily a mental health community garden, but maybe there's a community garden in your area which would really appreciate them. Maybe do some guerrilla gardening with your seeds. Maybe there's a little patch of soil outside your local railway station or outside your local library. Scratch a few seeds in. Just don't hoard them in a tin. Right, and finally Esther, there's a reference not everyone will get. Big thank you to Annemieke. Now, I'm not sure how to pronounce Annemieka's name. She's from Holland. Oh, puppykins. I think it's the rustle of the packets. I think she thinks it's food. Annemieke has very kindly sent me some beautiful bulbs. So what I love as well is these are all, they're supposedly bee friendly. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? What I really love about this is, you know, there's no two ways about it. Money is tight. And one of the things I've tried to say all along with my garden and sort of inspire by sharing and showing my garden is that you can feed yourself for virtually no money. You know, pennies spent on seeds or getting seeds for nothing if you're doing swapsies, save your own seeds, that sort of thing. So I try to garden for nothing, partly because I'm stubborn and I want to show it can be done. You don't need to be sponsored by some flash seed company and get loads of stuff for free. You can just do it yourself. But also because I don't have money, I do not have money to spare. And so something like bulbs, for me, that's what I would consider a luxury. It's an extravagance. It's not something I would ever buy for myself. But I'd really like some. So, how wonderful. So that's going to be the first job of today before... Oh, sorry, Poppykins. Are you trying to come this way? Come on then. Come. That's going to be my first job of the day before I start getting stuck into the tidy up. Actually, I think my first job of the day is to give all these cats a lot of attention. I was here yesterday, but I think the amount of rain we had all through October, oh, Rusty. I think, yeah, with the amount of rain we had through October and my lack of visits, I think they've been missing their cuddles. I know I have. So, cuddle time first, and then we'll plant some bulbs. What do you think, Poppy? Is that a plan? Listen to Rusty. Such a grumpy old man. It's purely because Rosie is sitting right in the doorway. Rusty is now sitting on one of my chairs outside the shed, and he wants to come in, but he's scared of Rosie, who's like half his size. Oh, bless. Right, kitty cuddles, and then let's do some bulb planting. It's definitely a sitting on cardboard type of day. So soggy underneath. Okay, so I'm here in the end of the herb bed. First things first, well, gather your thoughts, Vivi. The first thing I've done, having admired the pretty pictures on the front, looking at the back on the sort of sowing and growing guide, the first thing I'm looking at is how big are things going to get. So now, look, crocuses, I know crocuses are only going to be little, maybe 10-15 centimetres, but all the other things I had no idea. So I've looked on the growing guide, and all the ones that are sort of 10-15 centimetres I'm going to pop down here at the front of the herb bed. So this year, obviously that's where the rhubarb is, and I hope it hasn't died, but like I said, I'm probably going to get a cutting from next door if it has popped its clogs. So at the beginning of this year, I just scratched in a load of calendula seeds here, just purely to fill this space in until the rhubarb gets established. And what I'm thinking with the little crocus and the small tulip bulbs is, if I put them in here right at the front, they'll come up just, and they'll be on show as the rhubarb is emerging. By the time they're going over, then hopefully that's when the rhubarb is really starting to fill out. So they shouldn't be competing. That's the plan. Now, I'm not a bulb grower, haven't really grown bulbs before. I had that little handful of tulip bulbs from my mum that I put right at the top of the plot. But essentially, what am I looking for? Tulips, the little tulips and the little crocuses. Essentially, this is all brand new to me. When I do anything new, I'll do a little bit of research. I mean, you don't have to, you can just read the back of the packet. The instructions are very clear about depth of planting, disbursement, is that a word? You know, how far apart we plant, etc. Ooh, that's a chilly wind. I could just do that, but I happen to have a very good friend who is a horticulturalist, so I had a chat with her about it, and I sort of just ran my ideas by her to see if she agreed that I was on the right tracks, and she said, yes, you are. What's lovely about these bulbs is that the tulips, these and the others, they're both what are called species tulips. So listen, I'm still learning on this, but what I understand is that unlike, say, the cultivars, you know, the big showy tulips, for instance the ones my mum gave me, they may come back a second, maybe even a third year, and they'll get less and less glorious as the years go by. But with the species tulips, they will come back year after year, and they'll be propagating as they do. So where I sow these in little clumps, I'll have a little clump next year, but the following year, in theory, I should have a slightly bigger clump. And as the years go on, as the clumps get bigger and bigger, you can get in there, divide them somewhat, spread them around. So I'm delighted that these are species tulips rather than the cultivar ones. So tulips and crocuses in the front here, and then the other two are, one of them, let me see if I can say the names correctly, it's, I don't stand a hope and heck's chance of saying this, Allium nectaris, Gordon Sicilium. That's going to get about 80 to 90 centimetres. So I'm going to pop it right at the end of this part of the herb bed, between the lovage and the sweet Sicily, which hopefully next year will take off. But again, it's somewhere that this year I scratched in a few calendula, so they can go there. And then finally the, how to say it, Leucodium aestivum, this pretty little white one. So I was checking with my friend and I said, does it mind shade, or does it need to be in full sun? And she reckoned it would be okay with a bit of shade. So what I'm thinking is, do you remember in the November tour, I'll show you when I do it, but right on the back side of my cold frame where I've got all that lavender mist that self-seeds every year, I was thinking to put some in there, because they will get to 30 centimetres, so similar height to the lavender mist. But what I'm thinking / hoping is that they will flower before the lavender mist flowers. So as all that gorgeous, lush, really bright green foliage of the lavender mist is coming up, the bulbs can come up through it and flower, and then as they are dying back, the lavender mist flowers will take over. That's the plan. Right then, so I don't want to pull out these calendula because they've still been flowering. So I have literally just harvested a bunch more blooms, but I am going to take a few out just to give me a bit of space here now. They will of course have dropped seeds all through this summer too, so again, hopefully it's one of those things where when it comes to the bulbs going over in late spring, any of the self-seeded calendula will start coming through. Ooh, and 2 weeds. Who knew? When you get any kind of bulbs, where to put. Now what I'm wondering is, and I think I'll do this, I'm going to do clumps of each variety just to give a little bit more impact. So, and then a bit of crocus on both sides. So that's tulips there, and then a little bunch of crocuses here. Yeah, so hopefully they'll come up in a chunk and have a bit more impact. So in terms of depth, your packet should say, this has got really clear icons. So these have come from Holland, so there's Dutch writing everywhere. But in terms of the sowing and planting, it's all been done with icons. So there's a little trowel picture icon, and there's a sort of an arrow to indicate depth. Yay! So they're all between 8 and 10 centimetres. So I think what's going to be the easiest thing to do, rather than plant each individual bulb. So for example, if you're doing big bulbs like daffodils, you see these bulb planters that are, you've probably seen me use it. You may have seen me use it a few years ago to plant my potatoes when I broke both my wrists and I couldn't dig trenches. But you will have seen me this summer using it to transplant, what was I transplanting? Oh, I was moving the rocking cores. But I'm not going to do that today. Instead, what I'm going to do, can you see from there? I'm not sure. The sun's quite bright. I'm just digging a sort of hole, circular sort of hole. Get that soil out. Is that 10 centimetres deep yet? Oh, I'm going to be in Australia. Oh, so many worms down here. It's great. I think I've just swallowed a fly. Yuck. Let's get this hole made. Let me show you what I'm doing. Mud, glorious mud. So I've got my hole, as you can see, about 10 centimetres deep. My spoil soil is here and here. Then, taking out the bulbs, they should be fairly obvious as to which is top and bottom, but just have a little look and see. It's almost like I'm doing garlic all over again. This is where the roots are going to come. This is where all the beautiful growth is going to come. So rather than just chuck them all in there, I'm going to carefully place them, but try and place them in a sort of haphazard pattern. Can I replicate nature? Now the only bit of the sowing growing guide I'm ignoring is it says to plant these 10 centimetres apart. I've checked. I've checked with she who has the knowledge, and that's just not necessary, because like I was mentioning with these species types, they will actually in nature clump. So let's see, one over there. Get those popped in and then just gently fill that over with that spoil soil. Now, a really good tip my friend gave me was, she was saying that squirrels can be notoriously bad for getting in there, getting them up and out and scoffing them. So she suggested a layer of gravel over the top once they're all in, and I've got a bag of, it's about half a bag of, I think you're going to come out too. Sorry, calendula, I'm going to leave those couple in there. Yeah, I've got a bag of gravel left from, it's a couple of years ago, isn't it? A year ago, when I was planting the lavenders. I wanted to fill their holes with a load of gravel just to help drainage. I mean, you can see there's quite a lot of gravel in this bed already. I'm hoping actually that will be good for the bulbs, because I don't really want them sitting in heavy waterlogged soil. Happy messy days. Apart from the fact that it's beautiful to be planting these, because they are a treat, like I was saying, they're not something I would buy for myself. So apart from that treat aspect, it's lovely to plant something and give me that gorgeous anticipation of next spring. Yay! Also, it's just a relief after, oh gosh, all this rain. I know I've been going on about it, but it really has been quite a remarkable amount of rain this autumn. So it's lovely on a relatively peaceful, still day, with the warmth of the sun just starting to come through on my back, to do something sort of quiet and small like this before I move on to bigger jobs. Much bigger jobs. Again, just gently get that soil back over them. Excuse me, sorry. Right, well, I'll get on with the rest of them. Go and find my sack of gravel. I think I know where it is. It's in the mess that is the back of my shed. Get these in, get t'others in. I'll show you the Love in a Mist ones in a second, and then we can get on with the next job. Because this Love in a Mist, oh my goodness, it does so well with its self-seeding. Oh, that's not a Love in a Mist, that's a weed. Oh, a little bit of grass in that corner, I'll come to that later. Yeah, but because it's so full of this Love in a Mist, rather than like with the others where I made a big hole to put them all in one go, I'm just going to get down there with my knife. Yeah, that's about 10 centimetres I've gone, in order to just nestle that bulb in there. Scratch that back over. I hope these will work like I'm imagining in my mind. If they do, it
it should be rather lovely come next spring. And these lovely mist are such tofty little things that, oh, I could probably yank this whole lot out, and there's enough seed down there still for them to just keep coming and coming. So it may look like I'm being a bit rough and creating gaps in there, but they will fill themselves back in no time. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's have one here near the edge, and then it can just drip over the path a bit. Hopefully, we'll see. Or maybe a bit deeper. There we go. Great, let's go and get some gravel and get the ones at the front covered. And think about weeding this bed. I just don't bother weeding this bed because it's never really too bad. I think because the lavender mist crowds everything out, but I'm getting a little bit of grass creeping in there, so I think it will be worth a little on my hands and knees session in there. Okay, gravel. Good sound. Almost pretend I'm at the beach. Hopefully it's going to be enough to deter the spores. Actually, it looks rather nice as well. Well, it's wet because it's got nice kind of warm brown tone to it. A bit more there. And the ones up by the coal frame, and then we're done. Also, putting the gravel down is going to sort of help remind me where my bulbs are too. And not that I would be planting anything else here now, because this is the lovage and this is the sweet Sicily. They both look perfectly healthy, they're just not very big yet. Oh, do you know, I think I fall more and more and more in love with the herb bed as each week and month goes by. Gorgeous. So much joy it's brought to me. Oh, sorry, Bobby. Oh, lovely. I didn't realise I've chatted quite a bit today already. I didn't mean to. Just happens, there we go. So I'm going to quickly wrap things up now because this is more than enough for one video. We'll start another video when I do the next jobs. But just to say very quickly, if you're doing something like bulb planting or whatever, and you're getting all these bits of plastic wrapper, what a shame, especially on a day like today when it's a bit windy, just be mindful to tuck them away. I've got them in my basket underneath the papery bits, underneath my trowel, knife, so that they don't blow away. Let's not have plastic blowing around everywhere. So yes, oh, I'm so happy to get those in. Thank you so much, Anamika. Or I'm sorry if that's the wrong pronunciation, but thank you so much. I cannot wait for the spring now. So many excited, so many exciting things to look forward to. Some firsts by way of both the elephant garlic and all the spring flower bulbs. You're right, Poppy. Oh, and just to say with the elephant garlic, after I planted it, Tony from UK Here We Grow, hi Tony, advised that I should give it a good layer of mulch, the elephant garlic that is. So I think I'm going to be doing some community mowing soon, So I'll gather up some grass clippings to give my elephant garlic a nice thick duvet for the winter. Well, on that note, and with this little one, look, hello tail, I'm going to say cheerio to you all. Have a lovely day, whatever you're up to. I hope you're getting the chance to get outside as and whenever you can. I know that for me, for definite, it has massively lifted my mood just being out in this light today. So, happy bunny, time to get on with the next job. So until next time, please look after yourselves and each other, and I will see you, as will Poppy, no doubt, again really soon. Bye for now. Oh, Poppy. Are you going to say goodbye to everyone? No, I'm too busy having my cuddle, Vivi. Oh, yes. So I never get any work done.